Yo, what's up, guys? Today I'm going to talk about why you decide your difficulty. So, I actually wanted to call this video You Create Your Level of Difficulty in Life, but it was too long of a title to actually be put, or I didn't like it. But the main point is that you create your level of difficulty in life. It's seriously similar to a video game because all difficulty starts in the mind. And the level of difficulty you experience is exactly related to the level of difficulty you created with your mind. So let's say that you, for example, live your life as if you were defeating a level. What was the meme again? I don't even know. Like the level 500 mafia boss or something. What was it called? Level 500 boss? It doesn't matter. Let's say you were defeating. You were living your life as if you were defeating a level 500 mafia boss. Well, the exact same result, because let's say that you're doing this to, for example, run a successful business to make money. This is an example I always use, even though it's not an example I would personally use, like actually a goal I would personally use. Anyway, someone who thinks they have to defeat a level 500 mafia boss in order to make 10k a month, figuratively of course, is going to experience a different reality, but is going to have to do the same thing to get the result as a person who is, for example, defeating a level 5 mafia boss in order to get to this result. And to kind of stray away from the mafia boss metaphor in this case, let's imagine that the person who thinks they have to make 10k a month, they have to work 100 hours per week. Maybe there's someone out there who thinks they have to do this. I can guarantee that probably is. And then there's another person who thinks they just have to work 5 hours per week. And I'm not even kidding when I write this down. Disclaimer, I'm not making 10k a month. I'm also not making 5 hours a week. So I'm not saying that this is possible or that this is realistic. But what I'm just doing is illustrating my point with an example. The point is that both of these people would actually be able to get to 10k a month using either 5 hours per week or 100 hours per week. So it doesn't matter, like both of these will work, both of these will get you to 10k a month. So if I were to ask you, like, which one would you choose? Obviously you would choose 5 hours per week, because why would you choose 100 hours per week? And that's what most people do, including myself sometimes, is we create a struggle. We create a battle for ourselves, and because we have created this struggle, because we have created this battle, we actually have to face this struggle. We actually have to climb this mountain. We actually have to face this battle because we create it in our mind. So the battle actually doesn't exist. The struggle is not real. It only becomes real after you create it. Well, how do you actually create it, you might ask, because it might seem like I'm just really describing something very weird. Like, to be honest, if it was as simple as this, like everyone would be a millionaire, then some people are probably saying this. This is the reason why I think maybe people are just silly, because there's not any objective law that says that making 10k a month is hard or that you have to struggle to achieve your goals. I haven't really seen any law book or objective reality explaining about why that's true, so I'm not going to believe that. So the main thing is that the majority of the struggle and battle is probably created due to your beliefs and how you see the world. So you could say your worldview. And these things are very important to be tackled or to be changed. Because if you believe, for example, that making 10k a month is hard or that 10k a month is a lot of money, obviously you're not going to believe it's easy to make. So you're going to create a struggle. You're going to say it's hard to make, so I'm going to have to work a lot. Or you're going to say it is a lot of money, so I'm going to have to work a lot. Or you're going to say I don't have any ideas. All of these things manifest in different ways. You have difficulty is one of them. And obviously today we're talking about difficulty. But also like guilt. So if you feel guilty about having a lot of money, subconsciously you're creating a struggle, because you're like subconsciously you don't feel comfortable having it. So that's another kind of way you can identify this. Let's see if I can find another one. Fear. If you are afraid of doing something, then you have created struggle or battle, because it doesn't actually exist. Like if you really look at it, for example, if you are afraid of speaking to 100 people, like you are probably just thinking of what could go wrong, but it hasn't actually gone wrong. So what you're actually doing is just creating something which is not real yet in your mind. So you're creating a struggle which is not real yet. I haven't spoken once again to 100 people, so don't take this fully. Just take it with a bit of salt. But the main point and the thing I'm most excited about actually explaining now is how you actually can remove this struggle. Because it's one thing, and it's probably the most important thing, to recognize that you're creating a battle, you're creating a struggle, you're creating a mountain. That's the example I personally use. You're creating difficulty, you're creating a mountain that you're climbing essentially. The way to overcome this is, first of all, recognize you're creating it, and it can be in so many different forms, like difficulty, fear, anxiety, worry, guilt, doubt, even doubt. Like if you seriously doubt your ability to for example, do something to make 10K a month, then doubt is literally subconsciously a manifestation of a struggle. So if you, for example, would go to the supermarket to buy an apple, then you just have to buy one apple, and you go to a supermarket that you know has 1 million apples. And they pretty much always have 1 million apples because you have visited a bunch of times. This is maybe a strange example. But would you doubt your ability to get the apple? Would you doubt that the apple was available? Would you be scared about going to the supermarket to get this apple? I used to be, for if there were like people, which is another story, but like, would you be scared about your ability to get the apple? Like, obviously no. And why? Well, because you don't create the same level of struggle that you do with 10K a month. But objectively, these two things are the same. Like if you seriously objectively look at 10K a month and an apple, and when I say objectively, I don't mean objectively as in objectively with the rational mind, but I mean objectively as in you look, you see an apple, you see 10K a month. Obviously, visually they're different, but you cannot really make any conclusions about these two. Like it's not more difficult to make 10K a month than to eat an apple. Like difficulty is subjective, so it's it's tricky to explain these type of things, and it does require a certain level of awareness to see it objectively, because otherwise you're so in your mind that you cannot even see it. Like that's another thing. I maybe go on a bit of a tangent here, so I hope that's not too big of a problem. But because you're so in your mind, you cannot see it objectively. The mind thinks it's objective. The mind thinks an apple is just fruit, it's easy to buy, there's 1 million, so it must be available. That's the mind using its reasoning. But true objectivity is seeing it for what it actually is. And that is just the same thing. It does require more time, it does require more steps, it does require more actions, but no one says that these actions are more difficult. No one says that these actions are like straining or like difficult or hard or not fun, like they have to be a burden. No one says this. You have literally made this up yourself. So the way to actually overcome this, before I go on too big of a ramble about how I think the world works, once again, this is just personal opinion, so feel free to just challenge this, don't accept it, see where you might think I have gone wrong. Anyway, how to actually overcome this? Well, the thing is that this mountain is usually based on the importance that you give to the situation, to the goal. So what importance actually does is importance creates a block in the flow of energy. So you have to imagine that energy is really just a flow. So I'm personally going to draw it like this because there's an ascending current and a descending current. I'm not going to go into too much depth, but essentially when you give something importance with your mind, because you're saying with your mind this is important, what you're actually doing is you're creating a block. So an energetic block, and that is going to prevent the flow of free energy from flowing. So there's not going to be as much. I'm sure you have probably seen one of those like water dams or something where there's like something or like a blockade, and there's not as much water going out as there was going in. That's the same thing with importance. So if you give importance to something, there's not as much energy flowing through your system. As a result, the ideas and the steps that are the easiest for you to take in order to get to the goal, because reality always follows the path of least resistance. If you observe anything, then it's always going to follow the path of least resistance. That's just how nature works, the path of least energy expenditure. And I used to believe this was a bad thing. I used to believe, for example, if you were working out, then you should like not follow the path of least resistance. Working out is a different story, but it illustrates the same example. Everything follows the path of least resistance. And I used to believe that resistance was good, because then I would see like you are like growing yourself, you are facing resistance. Sometimes it might be true. Definitely it is actually true sometimes. But you can actually take advantage of this least resistance principle. Because as soon as you remove this importance, and as soon as you remove this energetic block, these simple ideas and steps, and they are truly simple, are going to reveal themselves. It's literally as simple. So the next time you have a block, first you have to recognize that the block actually exists. Second of all, you have to understand that it's like an energetic block of importance that's causing it. So you have to recognize the difficulty that you're creating, like the almost the delusional difficulty. Then you have to recognize its importance. Then what you have to do is actually let go of the importance. Because another thing, and this was one of the main points I wanted to discuss that I'm getting into, like, how long? Let's see. 11 minutes into the video, is that the only reason that importance is created, it doesn't come out of nowhere. It's created because you're holding on to the thing. So something is important when you hold on to it. It's basically just a translation. So if you go to Google Translate, and then what reality basically understands is holding on. So your mind we call this importance, because I'm obviously explaining this video to you so you can understand it. But what importance really means, so I should substitute this arrow for an equal sign, is holding on. So the next time you are creating difficulty, it's because you're creating importance, and importance is just holding on. So you're basically just holding on. You could say it like the mind language is importance, and the reality language is, in this case, holding on. So you're holding on to this goal, or this preference, this habit. It doesn't matter. Like, it can be a goal, it can be a preference, it can be a habit. Doesn't matter. When you hold on to something, then it becomes difficult, because then you create an energetic block. Then the simple ideas and the simple steps that are actually necessary to realize the goal, because reality follows the path of least resistance. So everything is always simple and easy and usually effortless, because that's just how nature works, are blocked. So you are literally not able to see these things because you have created importance, aka you're holding on to something. So the solution is to let go. Is to let go of what it is you're holding on to. What is it that is important? So you have to get as well to the root cause. I really enjoy talking about this, by the way. Doesn't really matter too much if people understand it or not, because sometimes I can get on these like strange tangents talking about stuff. But anyway, you have to get to the root cause of the importance, because otherwise it is not going to work. I think this could potentially be because your mind is kind of like, sometimes the worse the importance, the more difficult it is to see the root cause. So if you're really anxious about something and you try to see what is the root cause, it might not be as obvious as just asking yourself, what's the root cause? You might have to really, really be critical about it. So I'm going to actually give you an example now, because there's a bunch of theoretical stuff, but let's just pick an example. Lately, I have experienced a lot of importance with diet. So like being afraid about overeating, being afraid about undereating, feeling guilty after eating, for example, processed foods or not the most natural foods possible, all of these things. So those were basically mountains. As you remember, these are manifestations of importance. These are obstacles, because food is truly simple and it's not important. So these are like the mountains in this case that we have identified. Next, what I do, so basically let me just reframe this really quickly. The first thing you do is actually recognize, and this is by far the most important part, because awareness, without awareness, you can never recognize you're creating a mountain. You might think with your mind that you're not creating difficulty, but as soon as you end this video and you start planning, for example, your way to 10K a month, because you think that you require big in-depth project planning, that's just a manifestation of importance. So first is recognize the importance, recognize the difficulty, the mountain. Next is get to the root cause. So for me, I believe the root cause, and this was quite an emotional thing, to be honest, to be really transparent and open with you. So I'm actually going to just draw an arrow here. So the root cause for me was that I thought my body was super important. So how I got to this is I just questioned a bunch of times. Um, and the reason I thought my body was so important was because I'd read a bunch of books about spirituality, about health, about nutrition, and they mentioned that there's a very direct relationship between consciousness and health. And movement and nutrition are obviously the biggest aspects of the body. So if you eat very healthy and if you move very well, then you're going to be in a very healthy body. And then obviously you're going to have very healthy consciousness, you're going to have a lot more energy, and you're going to be able to take more efficient action, and you're going to be able to achieve your goals much quicker. So the whole reason for me was to kind of give this diet situation importance was because I thought my body is super important because I wanted to achieve this stuff. So you could say technically the root cause is the goals are very important, but you don't have to go like always super deep, because I'm sure that beyond this might even be like some subconscious drive that's like my higher self, and I don't even want to go into that, to be honest. But the main thing is that I think possibly the cause is my body is super important. So I'm giving too much importance to my body. Then third, what you do is you just let go. So as soon as I let go of this this belief, because it's truly mostly just beliefs, as soon as I let go of these beliefs, these feelings as well, mostly it are feelings and beliefs, but as soon as you let go of the feelings and the beliefs, then it's almost like the solution to what you're trying to solve, or the difficulty, the emotions disappear. So as soon as I did this, I didn't feel as guilty anymore about like eating certain foods. I could just eat whatever I wanted. It was so strange, because let's say a week ago I would have eaten something and would have felt really anxious about it, because I'm not sure if this is 100% organic and natural and perfect. But when I let go, when I recognized the importance, when I identified the root cause, and when I let go of this, when I let go of this belief, even it might also be a goal. I will give you an example of a goal in a second. But when I let go of it, it was like I was facing the exact same situation, but the emotions just disappeared. And it's not magic. It's just because this creates an energetic block that hides, it pretty much covers up, it hides, it blocks the easiest solution, which is the path to least resistance. So final example before I wrap up the video. So let's say that your goal is to have your own apartment, and you want to have an amazing apartment with, this was supposed to be a desk with like a computer, but it doesn't matter, with like a beautiful scenery, okay? This is definitely not a personal example. So the first thing you do is you recognize the importance. So as soon as you think this is difficult to achieve, as soon as you start fearing it, as soon as you start thinking about how to achieve it, even thinking about how to achieve the goal is important. Because you don't think about how to go to the supermarket to buy an apple, you just do it, right? You just do it. Obviously you have to know where the supermarket is, but you probably already do know this. So even thinking about the how is important. So let's say you're doing that. What you identify is the root cause. So in this case, the root cause is pretty simple. It's obviously the goal. So it's obviously the achievement of this apartment. Goal is the root cause. And then obviously the root cause of the importance is that you think the apartment goal is important. So it's usually like a belief or a feeling that is what you have to let go of. And then third, you just let go of the goal. So instead of holding on to this, instead of holding on to the goal, holding on to the feeling. And there's a very key nuance, which I want to make here without making it too much further, is that it's not necessarily about the actual belief, it's more about the feeling behind the belief. So for example, when you say the apartment goal is important, you don't necessarily have to let go of the apartment goal. So you don't necessarily have to say, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore, I'm just going to watch Netflix instead, so I let go of the goal. No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is you have to let go of the feeling behind it, because your mind is always projecting things that are pretty much not true currently. So this feeling which it's holding on to makes it believe that this is true, but it's not true. So it's not the case that the apartment goal is not important to you, because it might be important to you, but the feeling is the thing that causes the block. It's not the actual thing itself. That's what I'm trying to explain. So let go of the feeling, let go of the thing. It doesn't matter, one of these two behind the goal. And as soon as you do that, you will find that the obstacles will literally disappear. The simple solution or the simple action, the simple step you need to take in order to actually solve the problem, in order to get closer to the goal, will appear. It will reveal itself if you are open to it, if you listen, if you are listening, if you're open to it. And then you just take the action and you achieve the goal. So it's really as simple as that. It might sound trivial, but this is truly a very, funnily enough, important video, because it is going to help you solve so many different problems, and it's super exciting. So I really enjoyed talking about this topic. If you have any questions about this, feel free to let me know in the comments, as well as maybe any future video ideas if you do have them. But yeah, with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video and looking forward to seeing you in any next ones.